Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here, Podcast Pete, and we have your virtual KPI summit today. We are going to be presenting the first and third Friday each month, 10 speakers, 15 talks. Today, it'll be less speakers and more talks, but we'll still do 15, 5 minutes, 3 points. So, the format is just to bring you value professionals, people that are good at their trade. And when we say good at their trade, you always want to have professionals in your team, on your team, and available and nurturing your team all the time. So, why do we do that? Because it's about our pillars of success, which is generating leads, creating cash flow, and building thriving communities. So let me go back here. Our first is Growth Day, which is our sponsor for the virtual summit. So if you want 7 days free, try it at go-to-petekane.me/growth day. You'll see several things that you may want to take advantage of. Depending on your situation, depending on where you are in your journey, what you want to do with your life, how you want to shape that, there's going to be some things that you could want to take advantage of. Now, Growth Day is our kind of our fuel to the rocket. When you look at your business, think of it as I've got to put fuel in the rocket. Because if you're going to go to the highest level, and that's what we want, thriving communities, is getting that high performance out of your business, out of yourself. And it starts with you. So each morning, we have what we call the 5 to Thrive. It's your fuel for the day, meaning you get Brendan Bouchard, probably one of the most talented, gifted trainers in personal development and the highest paid coach. And he's certified myself as a high performance coach. He's speaking to you every single morning. So you imagine having the best person you can think of. Maybe you don't know about Brendan Bouchard. Maybe you've never heard of him. Most have, if they've been in this space of personal development and marketing and online marketing. However, there are a lot of people out there. We get used to who we like, and sometimes we don't know some of the people that are making an impact and can make an impact on your life. But if you could have the best that you know speaking to you every single morning, a framework, a challenge, a word, and a dialogue to help you be better. And you have another aligned video with that, and you have 2 questions, because you always have to ask yourself questions. And when you have that, you're able to think. I always say think, journal, plan, and implement. Think, journal, plan, and implement. So the 5 to Thrive is your 5 habits that you're creating. And over time, it keeps compounding. Now, Jeff Olson has a book called The Slight Edge. It's every day getting a little bit better. And it just starts compounding like interest compounds. So 5 to Thrive, you have a library of learning. He gives every single person a high performance habits course. It's a $300 course. You get it as part of the community. Now, try it for 7 days. And if you want to continue, it's less than $2 a day or $50 a month. So having access to the mastery, kind of what, in a small way, what we're doing here. We're going to run over for a few minutes here. But journaling is your self-awareness. I've been journaling ever since I had my stroke. I've been journaling daily. And it has given me the edge of clarity, of thinking, and getting on paper what you learned from the previous day and what you want to do that day. And then you have to score yourself. And if you score yourself and measure yourself, you improve. So let me go back to this one while I can get to the next slide because I want to make sure, Jim. Okay, here we go. It's so important. Let me get this off the screen for just a second. It's so important that your mindset is growth oriented versus fixed. What do I mean by that? If you're saying things like, I've heard that before, that's a fixed mindset, versus, I haven't discovered that point yet. I haven't done that yet. That's a growth mindset. When you challenge your mindset each time, your belief systems are your fixed part. So you have a belief system. You grow up with a belief system. That can be fixed because you haven't challenged the growth part of it. Always keep your mind open to learn new things. Because when you keep your mind open, you allow yourself to grow. That's where personal development is so important. It shouldn't be, I've said on other podcasts, if you went 30 days without a shower, you'd get kind of stinky. And you're going to the gym, you're smelling. People are going to be running from you because you stink. Why do you take a shower? To clean yourself. Why do you listen and challenge yourself with good books, a good community like Personal Development and Growth Day? Because you want to shower yourself with personal development each day. Because personal development is a daily thing. And that's why if you find yourself not intentionally doing Growth Day, intentionally doing personal development, you're going to find yourself falling into a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset will never allow you to grow. And what you're wanting to do is grow. So you take that shower to be clean, you do the 5 to thrive to clean this, to get this thinking right, to think this growth mindset. And a good book out there is Carol DeWick, Mindset. My friend Crystal Duke gave me that a couple years ago. And it allowed me to understand that I thought I was always a positive and I've always subscribed to personal development. Growing up dyslexic and ADD, there were certain challenges with that kind of mindset. I couldn't spell, half the words I put out there were misspelled. So it does affect you. But so I was not an academic scholar, flunked English, 2 failed attempts at Virginia Tech. So that was not my path through academics. But my path was developing myself, learning, reading, listening to tapes. I would run into Peachtree with cassette tapes in my fanny pack way back when. This is before the iPod came out. When the iPod came out, holy mackerel, it lit up my world because I didn't have to carry all these cassette tapes. You're running a 10K, which let me think how long it would be, like 2.5 hours or something like that. There's a lot of listening. So if a tape is 60 minutes on either side, you're switching the tapes out. It was crazy. But the fact is technology has advanced it. But I always would work on this. And by working on this, it helped me to become better through personal development. So we're about 6 minutes from bringing my friend Mark Little on. So what I want you to we talk about this being a virtual summit, KPI virtual summit. What that means is you being a key person of influence. There's some people have said like a linchpin. Whatever you want to say is if you're a key person of influence in today's world, which is digital, people are going to meet you at an event just casually. Like I met a person at at LA Fitness this morning, and we had a conversation. What happens is they're going to search you. They're going to see what you look like online because your profile is so important because we're in a digital world. People are going to listen to your podcast halfway around the world now, where it never was the case when we were in that industrial revolution. But we've changed. We're now in a digital creators revolution. So it's so important that you intentionally think about this. 7-11-4. 7 means people will get to know you by consuming you. If I read your book, let's say it takes me 2 hours to read this book, that's 2 hours of the 7. If I listen to 5 of your podcasts and they're 30 minutes long, that's another 2.5 hours. And then I go in, I take an assessment, I attend a workshop, I go to a webinar, all those intended for you to get to know, like, and trust. And when you do that, the brain doesn't know the difference between the analog, which is the physical world, and the digital world. So think of yourself as this. We buy from people. We don't buy from companies. So look at Elon Musk. I mean, he probably has 20 companies out there. We don't know, though, all the companies, but we know him. Look at Oprah. She probably has 20 companies. We don't know all the companies, but we know her. You look at Brendan Bouchard, he probably has 20 companies that he's involved with, but we know him. So what you're intentionally doing, the magic is in you. And we talk about 7, and we're going to get into the 11 and 4, but it means buying signals and 4 different platforms. Podcasting is a platform. A book is a platform. A workbook is a platform. A download, a video that they listen to of you, an Instagram post. They're different platforms. And when that happens, the brain just shifts to know, like, and trust. Now, we're going to be shifting because I'm looking and we're 3 minutes away from Mark Little coming on. He's the master. We're on StreamYard right now. He podcasts from StreamYard. His StreamYards are different than mine. They're much better because he is a master at that. We have a podcast academy because I have a friend, Phil Brannon, and we were at the Legion, and we happened to be on the same table, and he said, he wanted to, I don't know how the question came up, but podcasting came up, and he expressed that he had been wanting to podcast for 1.5 years because that's how we receive our information. And if you look at the recent elections, one candidate did 40 hours of podcasting, another did a couple, and they were controlled. One won, one lost. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, podcasting works because it's stories and people that want to listen to you. They have a need to know. The big, what do you call the legacy media? They control what they want you to know. Now podcasting, there's thousands of them, but doing it the right way with purpose and being able to monetize, that's a skill you have to learn. So we're going to get it more into the pitch, profile, product presentation, and partnership. But right now, we are 1 minute away from Mark Little coming on. And while you're looking at this slide, I am going to put this is our path to being a key person of influence. It's our ways to help you connect, help you to build relationships, and help you to have access to experts, access to people that are leveraging podcasting to grow their business because it's about people. And let me see how I can get to Mark Little. And I can't wait for Mark to come on. Yes, here we go. So let me bring Mark on. Here's Mark. Mark is in the house.
Good morning, Pete. I don't know about being a master at this. That's a little.
Hey,
That's a bit.
I'm glad you brought that up. We're never a master at anything. We just keep improving. You're very good point. Very good point. I think of a master is somebody a little bit better than me, and you are, because when I was on your podcast, I went, "Holy mackerel! You do it this way? This is cool looking." I'm a graphics person, so I
Right.
love graphics, and maybe it's just me, but the main thing is you bring a different level of professionalism. That's why we want to bring the Podcast Academy to people like Phil Brandon who are saying, "Man, I want to do podcasting. I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
A lot of times we're stuck in I don't know what the next step is.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to bring up on the screen here, we've talked a lot about an individual why podcasting. The audience can see on the screen if you could just comment and talk about that creating that digital asset. What has podcasting helped you with, and why should somebody consider starting?
Yeah, and I'm paying attention. I'm looking here, and I'm going to give a live example of
Okay.
what you're suggesting as I'm
Okay.
going into YouTube Studio. So, point being is when you first start out with an idea of podcasting, and just like you're saying, you're quote unquote master at this. Of course, what I'm saying is no, no, I'm not. And you look at a lot of the bigger shows out there, companies like Think Media, which I get a lot of information around. There's plenty of channels out there to get more of a high end polished type of example. But the point is like you're saying, Pete, someone saying, "Hey, I want to do this, and how do I get started?" I think I'd be the example of how you just get started, right? You don't have to have a bunch of big fancy equipment uh, and get lost in the fray of that. But just to give you an example of, and also I want to say, don't get caught up on how many views, subscribers you get. That's not important. Back to what you're sharing, Pete, is digital assets and what you were sharing before I come on of someone being able to search you and have your face show up in all these different platforms. So people go, well, wow, if I want to get to know this guy before I speak to him, all you got to do is just sit there and watch, right? There's enough content out there. So, as an example, when you sit there and I go and look and okay, how are things going? And just like the podcast for CareQuest Solutions in the senior world, and you're sitting there, uh, you, you may not get a lot of likes and subscribers, but you're like, oh, am I still getting views? So I can sit there and I'm going, oh, in the past 48 hours, there's been 14 views. And it was on a show I did about navigating complicated symptoms of dementia, how to bathe a senior citizen. We had someone, Jody Bellum, with the blue hug garment. There was some views on 45 years of dementia shorts. What is respite? And these are a lot of shorts that are out there, right? So the point is digital assets. You never know when someone's going to come across your digital asset that will be a lead, a business, or you impact someone's life with your message. So I think that's kind of what you're suggesting and is about digital assets. Well, there's an example. And you go into your studio and go, wow, someone saw a short or a video I did 5 months ago. I forgot about that one. Right.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I'll cover online courses and being a creator, and like
Hmm.
you to talk to our audience about creating those authentic relationships, and we've chatted about
Mm.
that
Mm.
ability on a podcast of connecting with people. You have an art. What we do is 25 minutes. You have 25 undivided attention of
Mm.
somebody's story. I did podcast 3 years ago, and we
Mm.
still have that connection because
Absolutely.
I shared a 30-minute time with them,
Hmm.
and it allows people to build those relationships. But let me before you comment on that, online courses is kind of like what we're offering here, is a way for you to shorten your learning curve, to take leverage Pete. I've done 400. Mark's done a lot of higher quality ones. So you have maybe somebody that's done more. I don't know, but Mark does them at a higher level. So you learn those kind of things in the academy, and you learn how to get started, because the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. When people say, "Do you have a book?" and you say, "Well, I'm writing one." No, you don't have a book then.
Yeah.
Until you publish it, you don't have it. So until you do your first podcast, you don't know what podcasting is. I go to Costco to sample things to see those big quantities. I don't
Mm.
necessarily want to buy a big quantity unless I sample it. So unless you go on a show and be a guest, you kind of have an idea, but until you do it. That's why we always invite key people to be on our podcast so we can get to know them and we can create that digital asset. So if you're somebody that's thought, "Hey, you know what? I see podcasting growing. I see the impact it made on our elections. I see it because people buy from people." Go to petekane.me/PA. And this is Mark and our podcast academy. And we
Mhm.
have some offers for you to get started. The thing is, get started, take action. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but you don't know until you get started. So, Mark, what would you say as we close this slide out? You're creating those relationships. What could you share with our audience about how you've experienced those relationships through podcasting?
Well, obviously, it depends on each industry someone's in, right? But regardless of, networking is how everybody builds a business, you know, traditionally. So, to be able to have a platform to, instead of asking for something, you're being able to bring value, being able to open that door and go, "Hey, tell you what, I got a podcast. Why don't you come on the show and let's talk about what you do?" And you have that content to use at your heart's content. And so, it's a way, Pete, to brand your company through your network of professionals, that you've got that synergy, right? Obviously, you're not going to have someone on the show that has nothing to do with your industry. That's, you're not talking about a topic that you provide a product or service to. I have had such overwhelming results of people will accept your offer to come on the show. And the fact that it's a technology based platform, they don't have to drive anywhere, they don't have to meet anywhere. You can accommodate it through scheduling of a certain time you have the show, or accommodate their schedule, right? As long as you've got the time and availability to jump on and send a link and do the show, it's really powerful.
Mhm.
And I highly, highly, of course, recommend people trying that. And of course, through Pete and the Academy, we're here to hold you by the hand and almost make it a no brainer to get started, to find out if you like it or not, like Pete said. But it's very powerful. I've got some relationships that I've built and developed at a level that I promise you never could have done without the show, because I always have to say this: there's the pre show and the after show. There's a lot of conversation that happens before the show and after the show. And then it's continued conversation after the fact of just conversation. They enjoy it. They have fun, try to make it fun. But I can't speak highly enough about the door opening opportunities it has to build relationships at a level that you can't with just breakfasts or conference calls or whatever else.
Mhm. Awesome. Now, I want you to stay on, Mark, because we have our podcasting academy, and this, it was funny how we connected.
Yep.
Was Brian Sullivan,
Ryan
right?
Sullivan. Yep.
Yeah, Brian Sullivan. I have a couple Brians in my life, and I get them mixed up. William Sullivan. But anyway, Brian goes, "You got to meet Mark Little," and I said, "Why?" Because he's doing the same thing you're doing. He's bringing podcasting to people, and so it was through a person connected us. You're down in South Atlanta. I'm in North
Mhm.
Atlanta. We're able to connect. We did podcasts together. You were on my podcast. I was on yours, so we built that relationship with the connection of podcasting.
Yep. Absolutely. And here we
So,
are.
okay, will you talk more about podcasting? I'll cover publishing, and we'll together talk about thriving communities for our
Okay.
audience.
All right. So what do you want me to
Yeah, you just talk about what you've seen for people that get started in podcasting. Like, what do people say when they're on your show afterwards? You know, you've done the show and you're like you said, the after show. They haven't never done a podcast before, but they're on your podcast. What's the kind of comments that they make? What do they say about
after we
yeah,
stop?
after yeah,
Is
after you
that was fun. Oh wow, I didn't know it was going to be that easy. And I think a lot of, I had like yesterday, I'm on a Zoom meeting trying to collaborate with someone and invited them on the show. And I've had so many people go, "Oh, I don't know about that." You know, that makes me nervous. And I said, "We're having a podcast right now. And people have podcasts all the time. It's conversation. You go into a networking event, you're having a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner with someone you're trying to build a rapport with, and you're just having conversation. That's a podcast.
Yep.
We everybody's accustomed to Zoom calls now. So why be nervous about doing a podcast? I try to just make them relax and go, we're just people. People want authentic conversation. So just pretend like you're on a Zoom call, but the record button hadn't been hit. Pete, love to go live. I like live shows, and there's a reason behind that. Part of
Mhm,
it is because it's live, it's authentic. If you mess up, you mess up. We're
mhm.
all people. It doesn't need to be a scripted, polished, fakey thing. So there's nothing wrong. And plus, on behind the scenes, there's not as much editing stuff, right? You just go live and
Yes.
you're done. It is what it is. If you mess up, you mess up. But sometimes a lot of fun comes out of that, right? So uh, that's my big give to it is just it's not complicated. It
Mhm.
just really isn't complicated. You just got to shake off the nerves and just realize I'm just going to be myself,
Yeah,
and it helps you in other areas of business as well.
yeah.
It just it's hard to explain.
No, I love that point is because I was just at the gym and I'm asking a person. I'll always ask people if I have a interesting conversation with them and they're sharing their story, invite them on. I find it more ladies say this. Oh, that's just not my thing. I said, is it not your thing? Are you fearful about doing something new?
Hmm.
And it's like all of a sudden they step back. There's no real response because fear keeps us from a lot of things.
Oh,
We allow our fear, we feed our fear. Like you just said, it helps you in other areas of your business because I've had, and I don't know if you know Tara, but she does the same thing as Brian does, but up
yeah,
this
yeah,
part.
yeah.
So Tara, she showed up over at Overture where I used to live with
Hmm.
her husband, and she's, before we started, she goes, "I'm scared," and she admitted it.
Yeah,
But afterwards, she said, "Man, that was fun."
yeah, yeah,
So it's okay to be scared, but don't let it control you.
yeah.
So, it's almost like we're fearful of things we don't know about. The
Right.
first time we rode a bike, we were kind of like, oh, I wonder what it's going to do. You fall off, you skin your knee. You don't just say, well, I'm never going to ride a bike again. You
Mm.
get back up on it and you ride, and eventually you get pretty good at it. But you don't know until you skin your knee and fall down. And it's really like you said, it's a conversation. And how many conversations do we have every day with people? So you are, just like you said, you're doing podcasting, you just don't know you're doing it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to throw in there, Pete, I just, when something comes to my mind that, I kind of want to share things to hopefully make a difference in someone's life if they hear it. It's not something for everybody, but the things that I've learned is I think being self employed my whole life, you kind of want to please everybody, right? You're trying to look at the aspect of, I guess, customer service, earning business. And I've had to really, it took a while that not everybody's going to like me, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to like what I have to say, but that's what makes the world go around, right? Is having
Yep.
differences of opinion and I guess merging and people do business with who they like. And so um it helps you learn to be yourself. And I used to struggle greatly being transparent here, growing up in the South, the Southern accent. And when being in commercial finance, I've had to work on my Southern slang. And sometimes you can't stop it, it comes out. But I had to deal with when my business was taken online early on, and I was having conversations with people all over the United States. And you'd come across, people that were more intelligent than I was, especially when you're dealing in the finance space. And just that adage of people from the South aren't as smart, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
stereotypical thing.
Mhm. Yep.
But it just took me a while to go, look, I am who I am. And that's what I want people to take away this even thinking about starting a podcast and like, what do I have to say? Who cares what I have to say? You'd be surprised.
Hmm.
And again, it's not going to be for everybody. And you just got to let go of that and just let it be. Like, so what? And you see people out there that's got millions of subscribers and a voice that's listened to. And you don't compare yourself to that. You'll never get started. I would have quit a long time ago if I looked at stats and likes and views and all that. And especially when you put your heart and soul into something, like, hey, it's going to be a good topic. I think this will make an impact, especially Pete, coming in the senior life side of life of wanting to make a difference in people's lives that are dealing with the getting older and parents and all that.
Yep.
And it just seems you post it on LinkedIn or Facebook, and it seems like nobody watches or likes or comments, and
Mhm.
it kind of gets in your psyche, right? And then you go and you see something stupid online, of something just so stupid, and it's got millions of views.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing those things, Pete, because it's important to share for those that are thinking about getting started. Is get all that out of your head and just get started.
Hmm. That's a great point, Mark. And so, as we wind down this, I want publishing and building thriving communities. I want our viewers and our audience to know the intentionality of the publishing part.
Mm,
We talk about the digital assets being podcasting, but there's physical assets. In a magazine that people can order from Amazon, can touch and feel. We take our podcasts, we transcribe them into a story, and we
mm,
put those stories in our magazine, not just arbitrarily stories. These are built around your key strategic partners because and our audience is aware of when we're doing business, we're not doing it by ourselves. We're doing it with a team of people. Like in finance, you had your bankers, you had your different types of people that made you more valuable because you're coming to a presentation with a team of people that like, and trust, that you've been doing business with, that the person, maybe the ideal client that you're talking to, doesn't know all the people that you bring to the relationship. So, what we do with podcasting is we build a magazine around your key strategic partners. And we do that. We'll talk about that later. But when it comes to the Podcasting Academy, the way we monetize and help you is we help you get started with podcasting. We help you put a magazine together so together you're better. And you're not just a solo entrepreneur, which is a misnomer. Anybody that says they did it by themselves, they're not being truthful with you.
mm.
You do it as a team. And I'm sure you could say in the finance world, you had a team of people that were reliable, trusted, that you did business with, that made you better
Mhm.
because you surrounded yourself with that team of people. So
Absolutely.
So, Mark, as we go back, let me go back to this. So, I appreciate it. I know your schedule was is tight this morning, and thanks so much for coming on. I had to correct the spelling because when I looked at it, I left out my K here. So,
Mhm.
if you want to know more about getting started with your podcasting as a strategy to grow your business, because people buy from people, go to pkane.me/PA. You'll see Mark on there. You'll see myself. and you can join our academy, and that way you're shortening your learning curve. Any before you go, Mark, anything you would like to leave our viewers with?
No, just enjoy this episode with you. It's like I love what you're doing, what's being put together here, and it couldn't be more easier to get started. It really couldn't. And again, know what you're saying no to. If you have an inkling, if there's a part of you that wants to get started and give it a whirl, give it a whirl. You may
Mhm.
find out it's for you or not for you, but at least you'll know, right? But
Absolutely.
just get started. It couldn't be easier. This is such a easy step by step process of getting started, and you will know if it's right for you after going through this.
Absolutely. And I put up on the screen to be a guest on the podcast, go to PeteKane.me. And you can be on my podcast, and then I'll connect you with Mark, and you could be on Mark's podcast if you have, if you're
If
looking for the exposure in the senior market or the finance market. You have to be on a podcast that the listeners have interest in, your expertise, and that's what we look for in the Podcast Academy in our community is where can we plug you in to other podcasters that we can help you get your story, your message, your person, because people buy from people out in the digital world. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it, Pete.
Thanks so much for being with us this Friday afternoon, morning.
No,
Okay.
brother. You
All
have a
right,
good
buddy.
weekend.
Okay. Okay. Now let's go back. We have a few minutes, one more, and then we have Jim Fuse will be on at 9:10. So let me go back to this. I, um, we're not staying with the 5 minutes, but I wanted you because we talked about this in podcasting. It's people, and social media has elevated the importance of people. People don't buy from companies anymore because the social media aspect elevates people. So when you think I have Elon Musk on there, Tim Cook, Brendan Burchard, Joe Rogan, who's the goat of podcasting, all these people, Oprah, they have other businesses, but they are the personality that everybody knows. So when you look at your business, think people buy from people if they know your story and you're putting yourself out there, and you can put yourself out there because when we said the 7-11-4, which is the formula, 7 hours, 11 buying signals, and 4 different platforms. You'll check out, say, Elon Musk on Twitter or X. Then you'll check out him on his videos that are up there. You'll check him on different platforms and you'll consume. And once you consume, you say, you know what? I think I might buy a Tesla because I like the guy. I like what he's talking about. I like his innovation. He's like Stephen Jobs times 10 or 100. He's always disrupting. Jobs disrupted the phone and the ability for us to innovate with that new technology, the phone, the iPad, the Mac, the iTunes, the App Store. That was all done intentionally to make your life better. I think it's 83% of the people have an iPhone. Crazy that high number. When it used to be crack, we used to be when what was I, I'm drawing a blank, but they call it a BlackBerry. BlackBerry. Everybody used to have a BlackBerry. Now I don't think it's even in business because it changed, and innovation, technology changes everything. So we'll bring Jim Fuse on here in just a few minutes. And until he comes on, I want to talk about our way that we connect you. So if you want to get connected to our community, you have a desire to build up your profile to put yourself out there, to be able to do it the new way, which is social media is people. And during the week, we connect you with a global economy because today we're global because people could be listening to this podcast or this summit halfway across the world, and they will because it's out there. We always want you to learn the 5 Ps. So we do a book discussion, a few minutes on that. We talk about people buying from people. We talk about the book, which is so important that you understand key person of influence, Daniel Priestley, be able to understand that people buy from people and that the more you put out there, the better it is for people to know you, like you, and trust you. So if you want to get connected to us so you can help build your business, go to pkane.me/connect. And that way you can connect with what we have going on because we do live events once a month. We do the virtual events the first and third Friday. We have a magazine, which we put you like we talked about in previous, is it's a collaborative key person of interest, or excuse me, key strategic partner magazine, because together we're better. When you bring your team of people to a presentation and you're talking to your ideal client, prospect, and you bring a team with you, you're more valuable to that person than if you come by yourself. So being intentional about bringing the team involves our collaborative magazine. So if you go to pkane.me/magazine, you can see a sample. You can order it off of Amazon. We have like 32 people in there. It's a sample, but it gives you a chance to see what a magazine can do to help grow your business because it's all about your key strategic partners. And if you put them together intentionally, you're more valuable because a magazine is an asset. The value of your business is your assets. You have digital assets and you have physical assets. Like if you're a moving company and you have several moving vans or trucks, that's an asset. I have a friend, he rents his, he doesn't have assets. He's in the moving business, but he doesn't understand assets. And I hear Jim is in the house. So I'm going to go over to this one because when Jim's in the house, we take note. I met Jim several years ago before COVID. And before COVID, man, we were going to do um, let me see, KBA. I'm drawing a blank. My memory is, and we were doing a university. Yes, that's it. That's what I want to know. Let me get Jim on here because I'm stumbling around while I get. Hold on here. Let me see. I know I see him down there. He's in the green room. Now he's in the house. And he has green back room. So he goes from the green room to the real room. So,
That's right.
Jim, thank you so much for being here. Jim is uh, has been in the live streaming space for quite a few years. And if you're not understanding how this can impact your business, you're missing opportunities. We met each other and we have stayed in touch. Whenever I need streaming knowledge, expertise, that I have him on speed dial. I call Jim. And so, and you pay for it. Look, when you call people and you're leveraging their expertise, pay for it. A lot of people think they can get everything for free. Knowledge, when you have expertise knowledge, pay people for it. They're going to shorten your learning curve if you do. So, Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. If you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience the power of live streaming.
Yeah, absolutely, Pete, and thank you for having me. And you know, live streaming is changing. So, I mean, it changes all the time. Like you said, I've been doing this for, it's actually going on 7 years, which is
Oof.
sometimes hard to believe. And, have probably literally done hundreds of shows, producing a bunch of shows. In fact, reason I was a little bit late is I'm actually doing some remote production work for NVIDIA. So yeah, folks, there's a lot of big companies using this, and we're actually using StreamYard to produce, just like we are here today. And so, why live stream? Well, first of all, it does truly create that ability to connect with your audience in a way that, if you want to call it recorded passive video, just doesn't do. And so, like right now, Pete and I are having a real conversation. Anyone that jumps in, they can ask us a question. They're going to get an answer in real time. But the beauty as well is that on the back end, if somebody watches the replay, they can still get their question answered because we'll see their comments. But I think one of the things that people have to remember is I think sometimes people, like as an example, like, well, there was only 10 people watching me live. But a lot of times, especially now, we'll say post that thing we won't talk about, people are back to, if we want to call it somewhat a normal life. I know things have been a little crazy in 2025 for some folks. And but if you think about, if you ended up with 200 replay viewers, you just filled up a movie theater. And so, don't get frustrated because everybody can't make it at the time that you choose to go live. One, you're not going to be able to make everyone, happy. So I think a part of it is just be consistent. Pete, one of the things that I admire about what you've been doing with this is that you're being consistent, right? We've got the tomorrow. Make sure you come back tomorrow, right? I don't know. I think, Pete, if you're live streaming it, because I'm going to be talking about something new in the live streaming space, and that's Substack. But this is building know, like, and trust. This is when you're live, there's no do-overs, right? So if I'm not a good speaker, you're going to see that. If I'm not being genuine in the way my emotion and expression comes out, you're going to see that. So this really helps build know, like, and trust when you're live, and you can have, like, we have here this conversation. The other thing is, what we have to remember is, when you're in business, you're not really in business. You're a problem solver. And so what video is allowing you to do is to not only explain, but sometimes show. As you learn to get better, you can learn to use, like, even extra cameras. My friend Chris Stone and I on our show Dealcasters, we do a lot of tech reviews, and we'll use an overhead camera, or we'll do a picture in picture. So you're seeing what we're talking about as we're explaining it. And if you're a business owner, and I don't care if I would even say more so in the trades. And that's one of the things I'm excited about, with another thing I'm doing with this company, Relatable,
Mhm.
is we can go on video and kind of show, hey, the before and afters, right? Show people what you've accomplished, show people what the problem was that you solved, and put that out there, especially on YouTube, because YouTube is really a big search engine. I mean, I know, even for myself, I got to replace the battery in my key fob for my car, and I went and I found a video where someone showed me how to do it, right? That's the sort of things that you can be doing, and don't think that you've got this big secret, because the reality is, unless you're a rocket scientist, um, we can probably find somebody else giving us the same information that you feel like, oh, I can't tell you how I do that. But to Pete's point, if you want to learn how to live stream, you can go watch the free videos. If you want to learn how to podcast, you can go watch free videos, or you can talk to someone like Pete, who is crushing it with podcasting. And Pete wasn't always a podcaster,
Yeah.
right? And so that's one of the things I admire about you, Pete, is how you, continuously learn, continuously shift, knowing that things change and we can't just keep doing things the way we've always done it. So, uh, live streaming, definitely something to keep in your toolkit. But also remember, as an example, Facebook is changing the rules again, like they always do.
Mhm.
but the fundamentals of live streaming is just a matter of deciding where do you want to go live. And so for me, YouTube, LinkedIn, and now Substack are places where I think you can build an audience, and ultimately you want to get these people's information so you're building off the rented land. But thank you, Pete, for having me. And you got anything else you want to add before
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. You mentioned the Substack, and I had asked you because the market is always changing, and if you are not aware of these shifts in technology, then you can lose opportunities. Jim's going to speak. We have our live event. It's the fourth Saturday, but we're going to actually have him back on our next virtual, which will be on the third Friday, to talk to you about how you can leverage Substack because it's building communities, and online is the community of the future. It's happening now. We're now globally. When people are listening to Jim, they could be halfway across the world solving that problem of how do they live stream. And if you take 8 years, but yet Jim can shorten your learning curve, then you're going to be better off because you either have time or you have money. And if you have more money than time, you get Jim to help you. If you have plenty of time and you don't value the money, go on, just figure it out yourself. You have that option. I do want them, Jim, to be able to go to pkane.me/live streaming, because if you're out there and you're kind of like, oh, you know what, I need to be more aware of the opportunities within live streaming, they can go to this and they can set up an appointment with you. They can see more of what you've done. You can Google Jim. Just Google his name. You can see his stuff out there because, hey, everything is online now. So it's not like you can't find anything about Jim Fuse. You can find it. You can see his work. A lot of times he's behind the scenes operating the stream, but you're out there enough that people are going to be able to see you. So go to pkane.me/live streaming to be able to get access to Jim, because you want to be aware of how these things are changing. And 8 years creates a lot of skills. We all learn from each other, but we do it in a community. So, Jim, thank you so much. I know
Thank
your
you, Pete.
schedule. When I texted you this morning, I said, "What time?" You go, 8:10. I mean, I love that when somebody says exactly when they can do so, because busy people get things done, and you're a busy person that gets things done. So thanks so much, Jim. We
Thank
appreciate
you, Pete. Great to see you.
this. Okay. You have a wonderful rest of the day. So look, go access Jim. We were bringing you people that can help you do better in business. And the digital world is upon us. It's all digital. So your ability to reach people halfway around the world can be accomplished through live streaming. And like Jim said, there's nothing better than live because you can't make up anything. It's like when Donald Trump was on Joe Rogan, he was on there for 3 hours. You can't, excuse me, fool anybody in 3 hours because that person has to put themselves out there. And that's what live streaming. You're putting yourself out there for people to get to know you, like you, and trust you. And that is done through the digital world. Now, let me see if I can figure out this. I am okay. Hold on here. Let me get back to our networking. So, our networking really, it's about connecting you up in a community. We do it Wednesday. We connect you globally. So you can go to pkane.me/connect, and you want to connect with people like Jim. You want to connect with people like Mark. You want to connect with our community because everybody has a skill that they're working intentionally on. And when you can tap in to that, you shorten your learning curve. We do live events, we do the virtual events. We have ways for you to learn and grow in the new world we're in. AI is absolutely rocking this world. And if you're not aware of AI, then you're losing opportunity. So when we look at our ability to be a key person of influence, first, you got to get your pitch down. If I meet Jim and he says, "What do you do, Pete?" We generate leads, create cash flow, and build thriving communities. Now, if Jim is not interested in that, that's it. Then I'm just going to ask him about himself. But if he says, "Well, how do you generate leads?" Podcasting, publishing, and building thriving communities. If he doesn't say something about any of those, that's it. I don't go any further. You always want people to approach it on a need to know. When we talk about throwing up on somebody, I introduced a person, this is back in November, to a person after a show, and it was 5 minutes, pretty close to 5 minutes, of this person telling her life story. She hadn't worked on her pitch. People don't have the time to listen to your passion. Respect people's time, because short form videos, whether it's TikTok, short form on YouTube, Instagram, it's because our attention span has gotten so small that they don't have time to listen to 5 minutes of your passion. They're rolling their eyes, maybe not physically, but in their mind, like, how can I get out of here? So respect people's times. Work on your pitch. Your profile is when people search you. Do they have enough information to be able to consume you? And if they do, they may want to know more. They may order your book. They may attend a workshop. They may attend a webinar. They may listen to a podcast. They may listen to a short form video. These are what we call buying signals. 11 is a magic number. It just, your brain goes from when you are making buying signals to the number of 11, that's the magic turns on. And then the 4 different platforms are just different platforms. So, okay, let me go back to this. And then I want to move in these slides so you don't see them all. I mean, not see them all, but I don't want to. So we do a live event. So each month we get our community together. We have 10 speakers, 15 talks. So some speakers speak twice. It's 5 minutes, 3 points. 5 minutes, 3 points. And when you want to go to that, we do it the 4th Saturday from 10 to 11:30. Right now, it's at Grace Church. It's in Kennesaw. So if you're in the Kennesaw, Atlanta area, first, come on my podcast. I mean, the ability for you, let me see if I can, yeah, there it is. Here it is. Just go to pk.me and get on my podcast. I'd love to feature you and your story to our community. I'd love to connect you with people that can help you build your business. Because when we have our ability to, let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find, I'm going to go back to the networking one, why I find this. We have a workshop. We do a workshop twice a month where we teach you about the 10 steps to scale. And it's all about, when we talked about Mark, creating digital assets, creating your online courses like the Podcast Academy, like courses that make you put you in the digital world, because people can consume and can access your digital courses halfway around the world. And it's about building authentic relationships. So there is that. And so here, let me go. I'm going through. Okay. We talked about publishing, and we talked about you being able to take your podcast and surround yourself with your key strategic partners. What do we mean by that? Let me get magazine up here. Okay. You want to see our magazine? You can either get it from Amazon, Kennesaw Happenings. It's a sample. or you can sign up in your area. Because if you want to be on the cover of the magazine and surround yourself with your key strategic partners by bringing them onto your podcast, we transcribe it, put it in the magazine. And if you can imagine, you're handing out the magazine. And not only are you handing it and showing what problem you solve, but you're allowing the ideal prospect to see you have a team of people. Team of people that you know, like, and trust, that you've done business with, can deliver a high level of service. And that's you bringing that to the table, makes you more valuable. And if each person is doing the same thing, so you look at this, each person is helping each other, together you're better. You're collaborating through partnerships, because there are times I used to, when it was warmer, I would walk Chastain. It's, if you're in Atlanta, it's in the Kennesaw area, and I would meet some of the businesses in that area just to go out and talk to them and see how they're doing. And I was surprised that the businesses next to each other didn't even know each other. You're kind of like a neighbor. You're both trying to bring business into the shopping center, and you don't know your neighbor. That's an opportunity lost. What if each person had a number of magazines in that shopping center, and you can say, have you met Joe next door? Have you eaten in his restaurant? Have you tried his massage? Just whatever the business is, you're introducing your neighbor to them. It's that third party validator. Like, yes, you're going to be biased if it's your business, but what if you're promoting your business next door and you're doing it with a magazine? Because they can look through it. They can see the story of the person next door. They can understand it, why they got in business, why they opened up the restaurant, a little bit about them. They can listen to the podcast. They can read about it. Both accomplish together, you're better. So that's why we intentionally build your magazine around you. You're the key person of influence. You're on the cover. And then the people that are upstream and we call downstream, that not just one lead, they're working together. There could be thousands of leads over a period of time. So intentionally building your magazine around you as the key person of influence allows you to be more valuable and stronger and be able to grow faster. So that's that. Let me go back to this, and then I'm going to move. Okay. This, where I want to just kind of bring up, this is my partner, and I want to go to the section. Yep, here it is. Okay. All right. This I thought was a great example of what AI is. I don't know this person, but when I saw this thumbnail, I said, wow, if that doesn't tell a story, not only is she beautiful, but she's giving you an example. Before AI, she was spending $336,000 on her cost for her agency, marketing agency. After AI, less than $1,000. Look at the difference. $336,000. Now she's leveraging AI, 786. So if she implements this and you are not aware of how AI you can use AI, who do you think is going to be the winner? You know the answer. This is a drastic difference in costs. And she can deliver a higher level of value because she's lowered her ability to add that value. So if you want to if you're not using AI in your business, you're missing opportunity. And if you go to pkane.me/AI, my partner Jeff Bourgeois has an AI agency, and you can take his free course. His free course on AI. So, if you want to lower your costs, like this young lady has done, that's crazy good, then get familiar. Get your feet wet. I remember when Jeff told me, this was back almost 2 years ago. He asked me, "How are you using AI in your business?" And I said, "I don't have time for that. I'm too busy doing podcasts." And he kept pushing, and I'm glad he did, because once I did a outline for a course and I put it through AI, it did it in 15 seconds. It would have taken me 6 months. If not, I probably wouldn't even done it, because I'm not, my skill set, having grown up dyslexic, misspelling words, flunking English in high school, 2 failed attempts at Virginia Tech. Academics was not my thing, but personal development, relationships, I put a lot of time into that. And when you look at, in 15 seconds, I put the framework for mindset, goals, and habits course. Then I put the video to it. But it, in 15 seconds, gave me the most amazing course outline that like I said, I would be 6 months, if not ever, getting it done with my skill set. But I got it in 15 seconds. And then I kept asking it a few more questions to clarify some things. But that's the example of running your business with AI, running your business with leveraging the new technology. And if you do that, you're going to be better. And let me see, Krista couldn't be with us today. So I want to just bring, Krista is our expert, our person that understands social media amplification. You'll hear people say word of mouth. I build my business, which you should, but you have to be strategic about it. How do you leverage it? You got to leverage your content. You got to create digital asset. And you got to have a person who knows how to do that. And I think I have, let me see. Yes, I do. So the power of social media is pkane.me/social media. If you want to book an appointment with Krista to be able to look at your situation, mainly she deals in medical and boutique hotels, but she does work with exclusively in the KPI space, key person of influence. How do we leverage you to be able to have a strategy to fuel your word of mouth? And you do it with Krista O'Neill. So if you can search Krista, just Google her, or you can go to pkane.me/social media and schedule a time to talk strategy and what she can do to make your business, to amplify your social media. So next, book a podcast. You know, we either allow our fear to conquer our fear, or we allow ourselves to grow our courage. Is the first time you do a podcast going to be the best? No. Was the first time you rode a bike the best? No. The first time you do anything, is it your best? No, because you're always going to get better. And to be a guest on the podcast, it's kind of like you look at, in the US, we have Costco. Costco is a value retailer, warehouse concept. Big portions, great value. You become a member to shop there. But unbelievable value in what they do. They have a rotisserie chicken for $5. It's strategically placed in the back of the store. So you have to walk by all these value things, all these samples. When you go in there on a popular days, like say Sunday, Saturday, maybe Friday, maybe Tuesday, with different days, you have sample tables. And the intention of that is to let you sample something. If you like it, you can buy it. So for you, if you become a guest on my podcast or our podcast community, you might say, dang, like Tara Strom said, she first came on, just put herself out there, said, I've never done one before. I'm kind of scared. And I said, yeah, I mean, that's normal. But then her comment afterwards to her husband and myself at the time, she said, that was fun. And that can be your experience. It's not, you have, like Mark has said in earlier, you're doing podcasts every day. You just don't know it because you're having conversations with people. And that's all a podcast is a conversation with you, shining on your story, creating a digital asset so people can know you, to like you, and trust you. And if they know, like, and trust, there's a greater chance that they're going to do business with you. But if I meet you and I search you and I see nothing, then I don't go to the next step, which means I do not do business with you. So book a podcast, and that way you can understand the power of it. Now, are you stuck on the busy bus? What I mean by that is there's a lot of distractions out there. And I want you to think bus and plane. When you buy a ticket on a bus, it's going to stop at a lot of different stations. So you buy a ticket on a bus to go to LA. It may stop at 150 different bus stations. It's going to take you longer to get there. It's going to be noisy. It's going to be distracting because you're always stopping. You take that analogy in your business. If you're in that thing where you're always distracted, you don't start your day with growth day. You don't start your day with intention. You don't think, plan, think, journal, plan, and implement. You don't have the best day that you could have. Now, if you get on the purpose plane, that purpose plane has a destination. You buy a ticket to a destination. That's your vision. That's your goal. I'm going not to 150 stations. I'm going to one destination. If I'm flying to LA, I'm probably the most economical. If I book it out, I'm thinking it's a one way, go right to LA. Maybe it takes me 3.5 hours. Maybe it takes me 3 weeks to do it in a bus. So in your business, if you want to shorten your time, podcasting could help you do that because we're in the digital world and the world is changing. So be a guest on my podcast, see the power of podcasting, hear it, experience it. That way you can, discover a faster way to grow your business. I had a person on my podcast, Christian Dorr. I don't know how, we didn't know how we found each other, but we did. And he had something he shared with me that I'll always remember. He grew up in a concentration camp. At age 5, he found himself in Russia in a concentration camp. Now, if you can picture, you're 5 years old, most kids are playing in kindergarten in a very comfortable environment. He's in a concentration camp. It creates a mindset. So when you think of PTSD, which I don't want to underestimate that because there's post-traumatic stress disorder. But if you think of most of your life, we grow through adversity. We grow through trauma. If you can take your situation, you're in the middle of a storm, and think, storms do end. Storms do come to an end. And if you can think about growth, that you can grow through your trauma. Like Mark said when we were on a podcast earlier in the week, we can either wither, we can use a W, PTSW, or we can do PTSG. We grow through personal development. And so when you're looking at growing personally, and I think I am, let me go back to this. When we think about growing, we think about growth. Nope, no. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. I put the wrong one up there. Hold on here. Hold on, Nelly. Yeah, there we go. Growth day. That's our growth. Because if you want to grow, the best on the planet is growth day. Because every single day you do the 5 to thrive. 5 to thrive. Work on this, grow, and grow every single day. And if you do that, you take a trauma, a stressful situation, a tough time in your life, and you learn, what did you learn from it? How can I grow? And Growth Day allows you to try it for 7 days. Have Brenda Bouchard speaking to you for 7 days. His daily fire. Then there's another video that's related to that. 2 questions to help you have some of that self-awareness, to challenge your thinking, and then score yourself. You can journal. You can start your day with some self-reflection, all intended to give you the fuel to grow. Because if we have a mindset of growth, yes, being in a storm, it's not fun. When I found myself waking up in a hospital bed 3 years ago, not having a left side, I didn't ask for it. It was the cards that were dealt. And so I find myself being an avid golfer, playing 5 days a week and running. And that was my special time of thinking and just getting that runner's high. I ran in 20 some peach trees. Don't run anymore. And I don't play golf anymore. So has that created a different opportunity for me? Yes, an opportunity to grow through podcasting. When I just started out in podcasting, I was pitiful. I was making mistakes. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I just kept with it. And 400 podcasts later, I have incredible relationships with people I've met on my podcast, and I absolutely, positively love every minute of the day because I'm growing, I'm learning something new, I'm creating, I'm building a community, a global community that will allow people to start over. I started over physically, started over financially, started over relationally. And so all these startovers create an opportunity to grow. And if we take that mindset of growing versus let it own us like a disorder, then you'll be much better off. So go to growthday.com or pkane.com/growth day, and then send us a support ticket. We'll give you a free course. Okay. So let me see if I can put another one up here. Book a podcast. Go home, go to pkane.me, book a podcast. And that way, we even have brand ambassadors. So people that want to be part of our community, that believe in what we're doing, that have been on our podcast, there's ways to earn and grow, and there's ways to be involved in our Key Strategic Partner magazine. We've talked about the magazine in previous podcasts and on this virtual summit, but it's our way of putting a team around you in a magazine. And if you want to know more about that, just put the word ambassador in after. I think it's in a different one. Yeah, just put the word ambassador after pkane.me, and you'll be able to know more about being an ambassador. So, coaching. Dang, this is good. This is real good because I'd like to say my greatest, growth came from coaching, being coached by a high performance coach. Because when you're coached by a person like Brenda Bouchard, who's been doing it 20 some years, coaching the best in the industry, the Oprahs, the Ushers, the A-listers, the Olympic athletes, the CEOs, and he certifies us on a plan. And I think, let me see, one-on-one coaching is available. And if you want to know if this is right for you, go to petekane.me and book a strategy session. Put SS behind petekane.me and book a strategy session, because we have three things for you. We have group coaching, which is through our 12-week transformation, where we help you create that magazine. And we have another one, create that book. And if your budget is not where it is with these other two, we have a KPI club. And the KPI club, I'm going to just put the word KPI. Let me see if I can put it up here. Yeah, I think I can. Yes, I love it. I think I can. Little Thomas. Let me see. I know I have it. Well, if you just put KPI Club behind petekane.me, I'm looking for it. I think I have it. And let me see if I move it here. Let's see. I'm looking while we're talking. And let's see if I can chew gum at the same time. Evidently not. Well, anyway, I'm going to have to better get this together. Get this together. Okay. All right. So if that's something that you want, the KPI Club is petekane.me/KPI. We have $1 trial where you can try us for a month. Then it's $97 a month, where we teach you 3 to 5 strategies on how to be a key person of influence, how to leverage podcasting, how to be publishing, and be a part of a community that is going to help you grow by 10x. Okay, so we are getting close to the end. And let me go back to the book a podcast. Dang, book a podcast, because I got a gift for you. For those who have stayed with us, we have a gift for you. And then this, for our high performance coaching, we have 12 sessions. High performance focal points, clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence. When you look at clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence, that's the 5 habits in high performance habits. Brendan's book. Then we go, the 7th week is physiology mastery. Psychology mastery. The 8th is physiology. Then the 9th is productivity mastery, persuasion mastery, purpose mastery, and committing to high performance. We put you through these 12 unique skills to help you get that clarity in your life, to have more energy, to build your courage, to be more productive, to establish yourself as more of an influenced person, and then to start mastering these topics. These 20 plus years Brendan has been coaching, and you can get it with us. Go to the strategy session, book it, if that's something you want to be a part of. If you want to be part of our magazine, you can go check us out at petekane.me/magazine. And so as we wind down, book that podcast, because it starts with a podcast. There's our KPI magazine. So it's podcasting, publishing, and building thriving communities. Book that podcast. And for those that are on limited budgets and they want to just start, because I always say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Maybe a mention in our magazines is something that could help you get more exposure. Be a guest on my podcast. If you go to petekane.me, be a guest. Then if that's something, because we want you to get a 10x return on the money you invest in yourself. And that's why we have a $50 mention. Put you in multiple magazines to help grow your business. So as we wind down, the last one, let me see, book a podcast. That is the last slide. Okay, hold on here. I want to give you something because the master class is what you've been waiting for. I don't know, but hey, look, I want to make sure that we help you grow your business. And so there it is. Okay, there it is. The 10 steps to scale your business is what we call a master class. So the first is assessment. The second is podcasting. The third is high performance coaching. The fourth is our magazine. The fifth is growth day. The sixth is becoming a brand ambassador. The seventh is live events and virtual events. The eighth is send out cards. The ninth is AI, leveraging AI, and the 10th is social media amplification. We teach you how to scale and grow your business by using the 10 steps. And we do a workshop on that. That enables you to have the fuel to grow your business. So if you go to pk.me/masterclass, that is yours for free. I want you to have a strategy because 2025 is going to be a big year of change, the biggest year in the history of our country and our lifetime. I'm 67, definitely in my lifetime and probably everybody else's, because AI is going to change how we do business. Technology is changing rapidly. Look how AI is helping downsize our government. I mean, should our government be the largest employer, 2.4 million people, and Walmart is 1.6 and Amazon is 1.4? No, but it's kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Now it's time to downsize. Like everybody's going to have to do more with less. And if you are looking for a pathway and you've been working for a company for 30 years, 40 years, and you developed relationship skills and you value people, then come on my podcast. Let me get to know you and I'll help connect you with our community. And you can go to pk.me/connect. This is our way we help you connect because together you're better. Together you're better. This will be available soon as Trexa comes back. This will be available on our website at pk.me/connect because we want to help you build those relationships and connect with people that'll help you in your journey, because we're all on a journey, some in different places in that journey. If this serves you and you want to get part of our magazine, go to pk.me/magazine and be able to get that. If you want to get growth day, have that fuel for your rocket each day, be able to take this mindset and go from a fixed to a growth mindset. And as we say, the magic is in you and anything is possible. Well, with the fuel, anything's possible because we're only limited by our fixed mindset. If we open up our mind and have a mindset of growth, and we have growth day, you're positioned better than the other person that has a fixed mindset. So thank you so much. We are almost at our time. Yes. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Private chat. Oh, thanks. You're welcome, Jim. He knows how to work the chat. Okay. So let me go back to our primary thing we do is we start with a podcast. We got to get to know you, to like you, and do business with you. Know how we can connect you to people that can help you. And it starts with a podcast because once we know you, we can help connect you. I can know your story, know more about what it takes to take you to another level. And so thank you so much. We appreciate you very much being here. Thank you very much. Let me see. Masterclass, that's your gift. Go to pk.me/masterclass. Get that masterclass. We'll be back on the third week of this month. If you want to be a speaker, get on my podcast first, and then We want to work on your pitch. 5 minutes, 3 points. 5 minutes, 3 points. And really think 10 to 15 seconds. Because when you run into somebody on the elevator, you only have that amount of time. You don't have 5 minutes in between floors, unless it's a real slow elevator. But you have sometimes, like, I love what, in my Rotary, what Charlie from Charlie's Angels Mover said. You got to be ready when opportunity knocks. And her son was ready when he had a chance to sing. Now he's on a billboard, Times Square, because he was ready with his song. He was ready to perform. You have to be ready when somebody says, "Oh, by the way, what do you do?" And if you're not ready, you blow that opportunity. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you. If you want to reach out to us, support@pkane.me, and you have any questions you would want us to address at a future podcast or anything about how we can help you, let us know. Thank you so much.